Welcome in, everyone. Please take some time to read over the safe harbor statement.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our second shareholder call here for HUMBL. I heard on Twitter there are some viewing parties going on, so you guys will have to invite me next time. But thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate the opportunity to represent you all as shareholders, fellow shareholders. We wanted to give a 1-month update from our December 9th day one shareholder call on the progress that has been made. I want to start by personally thanking our team members, co-founders, our consultants, our many law firms, and any number of people globally that are helping us along our way with developing this new company. We're an early stage startup here, primarily focused in San Diego here at our WeWork office. So hopefully you guys can get a sense of our view here. And we appreciate the opportunity again to give you an update on progress on behalf of the shareholders. So just to reiterate today, HUMBL is a Web3 platform that connects consumers and merchants in the digital economy. It's that simple. So where are we at theoretically in terms of that life cycle? So if you look at sort of cash and coins as a proxy for exchange, those came online here in the United States in the 1860s. And are still in use today. Then you move into a hardware and a credit card cycle. So those bundles of wires that you see, point of sale, POS systems, and physical cards, in addition to cash and coins, came online in the 50s and have proliferated here for the last 70 years at the point of sale. We think we're on the doorstep of an era over the coming decades that we hope to serve that will be digital formats of commerce. So countries migrating to digital forms of their money, consumers expecting to point, pay, rate, review, text order, or obtain deliveries in one application. So that's what HUMBL is working to build, is a seamless platform for Web3. We certainly studied the Web 1 and Web 2 companies that have had multi-decade runs and have a lot of respect for what's been built there in the previous cycles, and we hope to take the baton and build on top of that for the consumer in the coming decades. Okay, so what is Web3? You hear me talk about Web3 quite a bit. So Web3 is a synchronized approach to providing you with the capability in one touch to being able to trade, track, transfer, pay, share information with other people in more autonomous capacities, fewer white collar service layers, fewer fee layers, and lower processing times. So that's what we're trying to package for the consumer at HUMBL. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that new technologies like blockchain can afford more synthetic ways of doing that. And we think if we're able to synchronize with the regulatory and compliance complexities of various countries and create a more borderless layer of commerce, that will play well for the customer over time, and certainly for us as a brand. So we positioned this thing over the top into 3 very distinct business layers. We took some learnings from Alipay, Alibaba Marketplace, and Ant Financial in China. We think they're running a few years ahead on this cycle, and we certainly hope to build on and emulate some of those business model focus points to be able to serve the customer in a synthetic framework. So welcome to HUMBL. HUMBL is a Web3 platform that connects mobile pay, marketplace, and our new division today, financial. This is a seamless digital experience across the web. So you have the pay division, whereby customers will be able to discover merchants, rate and review them in our HUMBL Merchant Services Cloud, as well as we hope other bets in the future like text ordering and delivery. We also, heard from folks around the world that they wanted a place to list their goods online. So you have these very large big tech marketplaces that have done a great job. They've migrated from selling books to selling everything under the sun. But what we've heard from merchants in emerging markets when we visited them was give me a place to sell my stuff online into broader markets than maybe just the tourism zones or the binary one-to-one foot traffic that they obtain in these markets and our own markets. So the marketplace, we feel, it's going to take time to grow, but there's no shortage of folks that are doing and building cool things in the world and need customers to purchase those goods. Lastly, we have the HUMBL Financial Division, which we'll get into a little bit later today, but which is a point of great pride for us, just because we've been working on that there for a while. So we're excited to announce that today as well, but we think financial serves products very easily back into this consumer and merchant layer. Thousands of products came online for Ant Financial in China. So we see a real big opportunity there with HUMBL Financial to serve customers in our platform with easy to understand and ideally cost compressed services for them to help free up financial inclusion and access in ways that are buttressed by technology. So what we are seeking is a synchronized customer experience across these three divisions: connecting consumers and merchants in the digital economy, connecting consumers and merchants through online global listings, and then connecting those same consumers and merchants to financial services. The average American customer has about 60 to 90 applications in their smartphone. We'd like to try to get that down into a couple. So that's what we're working on here at HUMBL: is customer access, improved prices, faster processing speeds, and a simple brand where you can get what you need quickly in the touch of a thumb. The key target audiences that we will serve at HUMBL are consumers. So just folks like us that want to pick up a phone and do things without having to go to 50 different applications to do it. Freelancers, which is the fastest growing segment of the global economy. So it's gig workers, it's millennial, it's Gen Z, it's people who want to get paid wherever they are. And that's a lot of us. We employ a lot of gig workers at our company that like to have the mobility, the flexibility of working from where they want to, or having a more flexible lifestyle. I think with brick and mortar, there's been a lot of challenges with the pandemic and the lockdowns. And so you're going to see, I think, continued data in the direction of folks wanting to perform business outside the traditional constructs of four walls and windows. That being said, we applaud and are right behind the brick and mortar merchants that are out there globally, serving customers. Some of these folks are called agents as well, which means that they're licensed to perform things like money services, bill payments, foreign exchange, cash out, these sorts of things. So, you go to other markets outside the US and so much of that financial layer is done at this merchant agent level, which we hope to serve as well. And we'll have some updates here as we move through the call. So starting first with the markets we will serve in our pay division, we're going to focus on the consumer, the merchant, and brick and mortar. And you see, we're going to have a new look website here where you see some of the ways that those will be integrated. Our position into the market, just for purposes of regulatory and compliance, so we can get moving, is to connect merchants with high quality, trusted payment service providers in their country. So you will have a binary relationship with your payment service provider in your country. The consumer will store their credit card data offline in what's called a token, and have that data to themselves in a binary relationship between you and your tokenized provider. This means that HUMBL can get moving as a non-custodial, non-MSB business where we're putting people together in digital commerce, and then they can perform things like ratings, reviews, merchant discovery, and some special offers and CRM, customer relationship management features that go beyond cash, coins, and the receipt printer. So as a consumer, that'll mean ways in which you can connect with other people on your profile, issue baseline payments through those trusted payment service providers in various countries. Our roadmap has us attempting to launch in 40 countries by February. Not by February, sometime in February, excuse me. And then, being able to do things like ratings, reviews, discovery of nearby merchants. So some of the behaviors you've seen in other sort of social discovery sites that maybe are located in one region like the United States, but for which we have seen incredible demand in the markets we're going into, to say, hey, how can I become a digital merchant in one day? So here's sort of what that looks like. We're going to have, the app will change between now and February, but we're working hard in the woodshed to get this thing done. We've got some beta testing going on internally, and we're getting great feedback on it. It'll never be perfect, but we're attempting to do that and to move it out quickly. So the whole goal here is, hey, I get off the airplane, I'm in one of these 40 countries. I want to be able to walk around, not have to spend, 30 minutes going to the ATM, changing out money, keeping half of it in my wallet when I get back on the airplane. We were in Portugal quite recently, about a year ago before the pandemic. And, you stop there on a layover for half a day and you're going, oh, this is great. We get to go do stuff in the downtown port city, shop for some beautiful mosaic and tiles, do a bit of a tour walk. And for all those things, you'd have to go and get cash. There's little taxis or little, tuk-tuks that are going around. And these are all behaviors where, A, you don't know what you're getting into with the merchant because there aren't really any online ratings or reviews. You got to stop at the ATM to go and do it. I remember buying a bowl, a beautiful sort of like tiled bowl, where they said, oh, well, let me walk you halfway down the street so you can pay with the credit card at our other location. So just the very rote ability to just point and pay for an item through that trusted payment services provider, and then leave those folks a review or talk to them about perhaps posting their goods online to audiences that go a bit further than just the walk-in customer, as brick and mortar continues to shrink up on us here, given the current conditions. So this is contactless, it's connected, and it's easy to see someone being able to connect in that layer of commerce with a merchant. So the way we will monetize this phase one, and hopefully you all can take a chance to read the shareholder letter that we put out that much more categorically documents these things than I would be able to do verbally, is through what we're calling a merchant services cloud. So we've applied for a trademark there for the HUMBL Merchant Services Cloud. And the intent there is, as a customer, we just want you to be able to pick the app up, find merchants, connect with people and merchants, give ratings and reviews, move quickly through your travels or your domestic experiences. But with the merchant, we talked to merchants and they said, the two things that I really need are to become a digital merchant in one day. So in addition to posting goods online, they wanted to become a digital merchant in one day. And that's what we've built the HUMBL Merchant Services Cloud to do. So instead of cash and coins where you have a binary transaction and you leave, or a receipt printer that isn't automated or intelligent, now you're creating a relationship between people, or between the consumer and the merchant. And that's elastic, it's repetitive, and it's discoverable. So over time, we will be approaching merchants for what we believe will be a much lower cost than actual hardware installations, and stepping them into a digital merchant in one day capacity that allows them to do things like become discoverable, get ratings, get reviews, hierarchy themselves within search or social media actions, and then special offers. As I've said before, Jeff and I were in Singapore to accept a blockchain award, and we just sat there at this burger joint. It's a well-known American burger franchise. And interestingly, a lot of the customers in Singapore, despite the fact that there were these, gnarly wires and tablets and point of sale systems, insisted on paying on top of the hardware with their phone, because there was a small discount, 5-10% or $2 or something, to be able to pay for that burger. So we think that even on top of a hardware layer, HUMBL may have some applications for ratings or reviews or special offers, and that those things can become very elastic between the consumer and the merchant. Lastly, and as I mentioned within our roadmap, we will also be seeking and have beta tested, but we'll be seeking peer-to-peer solutions, which have deeper regulatory and compliance loads. So we're targeting Q2 for that, the peer-to-peer piece. We've done sandbox trials of peer-to-peer offline, sandbox trials of peer-to-peer. We're very confident we can deliver the technology. That's not a problem. So we're awaiting guidance on regulatory and compliance and where we can go and not go and what implications there are for blockchain or things like stable coins, foreign exchange, et cetera. We've also engaged with providers, including a joint venture that we mentioned in the shareholder letter for what we call HUMBL hubs, which are walk-in locations to be able to do those merchant agent activities that we've talked about as well, whereby the customer will be able to come in and perform deeper services through a trusted KYC, know your customer, AML, anti-money laundering compliance framework, where these agents serve the customer in very dynamic environments. So we've made some joint venture activity there, and we are also looking for acquisitions and in discussions on potential acquisitions, nothing guaranteed, but potential acquisitions of companies that are licensed and regulated in certain territories where we think we can move faster if we perform acquisitions. So we'll be doing a joint venture of a HUMBL hubs, owned and operated, highly controlled store concept here in the United States, which we're going to be sort of rolling out as a consumer brand as we learn more. And then the peer-to-peer piece, which again, we're doing that in sandbox capacities. But as soon as we know where we tuck in on the regulatory and the compliance framework, we'll move quickly on that as well. So we've got a ton of law firms working on stuff for us. The last thing we want to do is move too quickly and commit a foot fault on regulatory and compliance, because we're trying to build a multi-decade business here. So that's the pay division. Studios. So we've launched HUMBL Studios. A big thank you to Jenny Edgerton and Veronica, who have given us one merchant per day this week. We're excited to hear more from people that want to list on the marketplace as COVID sort of, hopefully comes to a standstill over the coming year. We hope to get back out on the road and meet with merchant associations that have signaled their interest to us in some of these emerging markets that maybe aren't as well represented on global marketplaces, or who are getting lost in the tonnage of some of the big tech algorithms and the ratings and review cycles that went out on those marketplaces. So the goal is authentic artisans that are able to kind of provide really handcrafted goods and give you something that's quite a qualified experience for what they've built. Also, we talked about in the shareholder letter that we've performed an acquisition of all of the intellectual property from Block 30. Adam Wolf and I and some others worked on a really cool product called Origin Assurance, which is a blockchain-based way of authenticating and tracking goods that we will be putting to work on the HUMBL Studios as well. So some exciting blockchain-based authentication elements that will be coming forward on the HUMBL Studios. And then a big thank you to the folks who came online this week with us and have begun to set up a dynamic environment there that we hope can grow very quickly. Okay, lastly, and this is just I'm going to just break and be personal here for a minute. I can't say enough about how much it means to me to be able to launch this product line. Seeing HUMBL Financial up there today on Times Square next to McDonald's and Express and Oakley was just too cool. So this is a personal project of mine. This is the most proud moment for me that I've ever had professionally. I invested early on in blockchain and digital assets and got hammered in this wave one crash that happened. And so, instead of kind of crying in my soup, I said, okay, what were the commonalities between sort of net new human trading markets? How can we study those? And then can we improve them with both multi-factor indexes that took on more inputs than just market cap? And then how can we get those into an investable framework for customers? So what we did as a team is we went back and looked at new human-made trading markets, which just don't come online very often. These are threshold moments in your lifetime where, historically, if you invest early in markets on a passive index level, the old Warren Buffett call, you've done pretty well there on these previous two markets, the NYSE and the NASDAQ, if you bought in on the backside of the wave one crash and held. So, do we know that that's going to happen with digital assets? Absolutely not. We have no idea, and we make no claims to say that that market's going to behave at all like the previous two human trading markets. But it's novel, it's unique. We think that in the same way that cell phone minutes and megabytes of data came online, we think that blocks will be the way that blockchain and the blockchain economy are communicated over time. And so we created the block index products, which has a really cool element to it called the B30 constant, which basically is an elastic way of measuring how much dominance Bitcoin has. If you look historically at other index market cycles, the constituent assets of those indexes changes quite a bit over time, right? You move from oil and cotton and railroads to aerospace and defense and technology. So we've built these multi-factor indexes that we think can quite flexibly accommodate changes in nascent index markets as they grow over time. So we're very excited to entitle to HUMBL Financial the block multi-factor index products. And we look forward to working with some leaders like EQM Indexes with Jane Edmondson here in San Diego, who's giving us some advice in this area as well. And we're excited to see what happens with that technology and that intellectual property. You also may have seen that we were joined formally by Calvin Waite and Jacob Davis from Coinbook, who now join us to help devise our algorithm, intellectual property trading, and financial strategies at HUMBL Financial. So we've known those guys for a few years there at Coinbook. We can't wait to have them in the fold. We've been working with them behind the scenes for months now, and just think the world of their character. So we're excited to try to define this net new space. I can feel Wall Street starting to get interested in it. And we think that we've started to help frame for customers sort of this one-click way of getting basketized exposure to a net new market. And so we went back and studied mutual funds and sort of how they did that. ETFs, probably the most successful product line in history. And then we packaged that into the ETX products. I've been told by legal to note that this first illustration of products will not be available in the US, as well as a number of other countries per OFAC. We just know exactly where the crosswalk is in Singapore from a regulatory and compliance standpoint. We wanted to show the market that we were going to take pole position here with getting these products out. I want to thank Jacob Davis for busting out 17,250 lines of code in the last 2 months to launch these products. And we can't wait to serve them for the customer globally. And obviously our hope is to come back home here in the United States. When you enter the blockchain space, you have to make a call. You're at a segment in the road where you say, I'm going to stay home. I'm a proud US patriot. I love the country. I think there's a lot of economic development that can come forward from this blockchain space. Do I stay home and do my work here, or do I go abroad where they're giving me very clear, crosswalks to get moving? And our call was to stay home. We think we're entering a new threshold moment for a blockchain decade. We want to be here to serve with the customer with really clear products, and we're very hopeful that can become more global in the offering. But in the meantime, I think, I want to tip my hat to our team. We've built non-custodial, very creative ways to get to market that are, right there in the wheelhouse on opinion letters and regulatory and compliance frameworks. So we thank our law firms both here and abroad in Asia for helping us move to market. The products that we'll be going live with first are in 3 vectors: index, thematic, and active. So these are algorithmically driven lines of software or code that allow customers to hold their keys, their coins, custodially of their own accord on exchanges. That the exchange we've built this on top of first is best in class for KYC, AML, deep customer screening before they even let you on. We've also deeply firewalled this product line so that US customers cannot get into it. So I want to reemphasize, this is not for US customers. It is not being marketed to US customers. And we wanted to show our stuff on a global scale, and we're certainly hopeful that we will be allowed to provide these one-click basketized products to more countries rather than less in the coming year. So here's what that would look like. I again want to emphasize that I have no holdings in digital assets right now. I wanted to be able to talk freely and to use names without providing any cross promotion. So if you look at a product here like the Block 3, in this case, we provide the 3 original UTXO blockchains: Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Digibyte. We know people in some of these communities. They've been great to us, and we're trying to build product lines that can help folks get simplified exposure to a long tail market if they believe there's something there. So you will be provided with this basketized exposure, in this case, an index product that basketizes these assets and gives you net exposure to them over time. And we call it the Nest thermostat product of blockchain. We do believe that tokenized assets will be a proliferated class of investment and financial activity over the coming decade. So constructs like real estate, where you have multiple people investing in tokenized real estate, where you have improved webhooks that can be registered. Land and title are big issues in the emerging markets. Payment and title are the 2 biggest issues for emerging markets economic activity. And I think we can take a swing at both of those things big with what we're doing. I also note in our shareholder letter that we've applied for, that we're patent pending on 2 international patents. One is for an instant settlement network for HUMBL Pay, and one is for an all-in-one patent around some of these activities, a synthetic marketplace where you'll be able to better tokenize, trade, track, and pay for your assets in less siloed ways than previous constructs of investment like paperwork or cloud-based documentation. So we've created a robust research area. You'll see sort of from the back testing framework how we did on these products last year. I won't make any claims about that, but from a back testing standpoint, I think they kind of speak for themselves on how they performed. And then lastly, and I want to just sort of emphasize, we are very focused on rolling out these business units in a way that is synchronized, right? These are not just scatter and go business units. So we think that if we can pair the consumer and the merchant in the digital economy, that regulatory and compliance and all the good stuff that comes with some of the technologies we have built and ready to go will synchronize well with what we can serve for the customer. We're certainly very hopeful. So the goal here is, yeah, these are conveyed in silos, but we want to create one platform, one application that allows you to synthetically perform these activities in highly regulated, highly compliant ways, but just on new technologies that can really unlock a lot of fee layers and silos. So that's what we're up to. We wanted to just show that we're a promises made, promises kept organization. I think we're really on track with everything that we promised to the shareholders, if not ahead of schedule, bumping up the Q1 app release, likely in February, and then migrating into other service loads like peer-to-peer HUMBL hubs and ideally in Q2. We are in talks with vertical markets, acquisitions, and joint ventures that we think can be extremely accretive for what we were trying to do and expand footprint faster than going about it our own way. So we're extremely excited about some of the potential activity we have on the horizon, both of things that we need to do, working pretty much 20-hour days right now. We're on the sprint for sure, but also teaming up with other organizations, partnerships, joint ventures, and acquisitions in some key zones that we think will both serve you as the customer and the shareholder, as well as provide us with some offerings that are more robust than some entrant competitors from the 2000s. So that's what we're up to. If you would like to be an affiliate for HUMBL in a market that you're in, or you think you have a lead for us on a business, that might be of value or accretive to us, give us a shout. Karen, Michelle, Veronica, Jenny, any of us, we'll make available some of our contact information and so on. I've challenged Karen to create a really robust affiliate program in these 40 countries. So, ranging from tour guides to merchant aggregators. These are folks who maybe have a really good network that could expand the Humble install base faster than us just going door to door. So again, we thank you for putting your trust in us to work our hardest on behalf of you as shareholders. We're certainly doing that. I don't think we slept much since the last 1 month update, but we'll certainly try to schedule these some more. And we look forward to serving you, and we appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, and happy Friday.